No, see, when you say obviously involved,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't know if you've been speaking to the mirror a lot, Travis Bickle style, but when you say obviously there's politics involved, it's not obvious to me.
Again, he's mocking, like he's mocking. So has been in that mode right from the beginning. So he insists that I have been speaking with the mirror, and so he has been not very kind. And unfortunately, Stefan, that does not seem like that's part of the non-aggression principle, which you so passionately espouse, that you have written a book about, and you want everybody in the world to adopt that because it is a principle which allows people to coexist and live together. And your passion for that principle is not showing up here. Sorry.
That there's anything involved other than you may be mistaking fairly innocuous information for a sinister plot.
Okay.
It's like you said.
So sinister, I never use the term sinister. So again, he's just he's casting aspersions on. He's using these terms, these names. He's calling names, and so he is overall in the mode of denigrating. In in this way or that way, in whichever way he can. So everything he's saying now is to mock and denigrate.
Obviously, well, it's not obvious. That's why you're calling in, right? You're calling in as a last-ditch attempt to try and get this monkey off your back. I know that's why you're calling in. I know you're going to fight me like crazy, right? Not just because these are your particular ideas, but because, well, a stubborn Indian man. Never met that before in my life. Never.
So stubborn Indian again. I mean, he just can't stop now to use these terms to basically put me overall in a bad light. So he's saying that they're being crazy, and so he's just keeps repeating that, and there's no sympathy whatsoever. But I mean, even if he genuinely thinks that I'm crazy, there will be some sympathy, or there's none. So that's also very uncharacteristic of him. So it's highly uncharacteristic, and the aggression that he's exhibiting, that's also very uncharacteristic. I have never heard him so aggressively attacking and showing somebody down, especially the one who's calling. So it's very uncharacteristic.
Right. So you called in partly because you knew.
It's not stubbornness. I think it's because of conviction. So, and because I'm the person who's going through this, so I know exactly what is going on. I'm the person who's most knowledgeable about what is happening with me. And so it's based on conviction and it's based on truth. But he's twisting that around and saying there's stubbornness. And that's again a psychological ploy, which people use to attack other people who are struggling, who are fighting for the truth and justice.
That I wasn't going to agree with you, right? You know that.
No, actually, it's the other way around. I thought that you would immediately recognize that this is an excess of women's shelters.
You genuinely thought
politics
that I would agree with you about this covert harassment.
Absolutely.
So you have a very difficult time reading people, which is why you ended up being committed by the police.
Okay, again, I was actually astonished. This was an astonishing conversation. There is no indication from many of the podcasts that you hear on his website, freedomainradio.com, or videos on his YouTube channel, that he will be um, speaking like this. So everything that he claims to represent on his podcasts, his videos, his talks, he is going against every one of them in this single conversation. So that was totally astonishing. I was astonished. I was flabbergasted. And so when I admitted, when I said that I'm astonished, so he turned it around. So it's like when people want to accuse you of something, but they don't have anything. So they will, everything you say is going to be turned against you. And that's why it's very, very difficult to reason with these kind of people, like, for example, the leftists, the strong leftists, because everything you say is going to be turned down. And Stefan recognizes that. Actually, yes, he himself has said that many times, that leftists do that. And now he's doing the same thing. So, again, very, very disingenuous. And so he's twisted this around and said that you did not expect this because you are wrong. So of course, I turned out to be wrong, but there was no indication whatsoever that I would be wrong in this case. There was no indication whatsoever when I went to the police also, because I went to a few private investigative a few private investigator agency, and they said that if it is harassment, report to the police. And the image of the police is that they want at least screw you if they can't solve your problem. But that's what happened with me. And so he is saying, he is giving example of that. So I went to the police. I was wrong about that. No, I was not wrong. I had not expected that. And here also, I was not wrong. If you listen to his podcast, if you read his books, if you watch his video, he's passionate about truth and justice and the non-aggression principle, and none of that he's using. So he left that part of him, I think, in another part of his studio. So the Stefan that came in this conversation is a very different Stefan from what one sees on YouTube videos and in his podcast. So just and even if that is the case, even if I can be wrong 2 times, it doesn't have to mean that I'm always wrong. So he's now extrapolating that to say that because you were wrong with the police, so you're always wrong. That's why you're wrong with me. So you're wrong about the assertion that you are being covertly harassed. So that is again very disingenuous, very illogical, not reasonable, and that's why this is a different Stefan.
Women's shelters.
You genuinely thought
politics
that I would agree with you about this covert harassment?
Absolutely.
So you have a very difficult time reading people, which is why you ended up being committed by the police, because you thought the police would be all kinds of helpful, right?
No, I won't say.
So now he's claiming that my other mental faculties. So now he's casting aspersions on my other mental faculties as well. So like you have a very difficult time reading people. So I don't read people's mind. So in case of you, Stefan, I didn't read you. I didn't see you. I saw your videos, and now you tell me by going through this conversation and by going through the other podcasts. Now, who had a difficulty reading about the person? Me? Certainly not the case. So this conversation is very, very uncharacteristic. So that's why there is something else here, and I don't know if what has been what is the difference in this particular conversation. It could be that he has been co-opted in certain way, or it could be that there is some sort of incentive that he's looking at by acting in a way which is totally uncharacteristic of him. So I can't say.
So listen, you have a very difficult time reading the outside world.
So he's now saying that I have a difficult time reading the outside world. So because I was wrong with him, it didn't turn out the way I expected with him, or with the police. I just have a difficult time reading the outside world. So that is an extraordinary claim, and without any basis. But again, this is a very uncharacteristic Stefan. This is not the Stefan of the past of the podcasts and the YouTube videos.
And Jay, do you understand what I'm saying here? You get things wrong. Yeah, you got it wrong with the police. You got it wrong with the woman you married. You got it wrong with me. So you got everything wrong, at least a lot of things wrong that you're talking about, but you have this covert harassment totally right.
So basically, again, this is a psychological ploy that he's using. So because you married the wrong woman, because you got because you got the wrong end of the police, and because I don't, and because you expected me to be me to understand this, but I don't. So you get everything wrong. So again, that's an extrapolation. That is so basically he's now saying that you're wrong in everything, and so I think so where he's driving at is that basically he'll draw a conclusion at the end of this conversation. So he's driving towards that you just don't have a sense of reality. So he's saying that you don't have a sense of reality. You are totally in your own world, and you are hallucinating, and you deserve what you got. So that's what he's saying, and that is so disappointing. I mean, this. So why would so first of all, he's not using reason and logic, and he's not. He is not listening to reason and logic. He's not even thinking about it. So, and he's putting words in my mouth, and then he's claiming that, and he's claiming because he's a celebrity, he can do that. So I understand that he's a celebrity, and I can't counter him. I mean, it's his show, and I called in, so he's taking advantage of that, and that is so disappointing, and that is so bad. I mean, it's deceptive. He's using deception, and he's not listening to reason. He doesn't even want to go where there seems to be an explanation. So he has already made up this mind, and he's already made up his mind, and he is going towards a conclusion, and he is denigrating everything which goes against that conclusion, and then he's denigrating me. So which is a psychological ploy which many people use, and Stefan also speaks about that. So if you wanna if you want to discredit something that the person is saying, then you actually discredit the person himself, and that is the ploy he's using. And unfortunately, I mean, he blames other people for doing that, especially the left. And then when it's convenient for him, he's using the same thing, which is I think sad for uh, the people who listen to him, sad for. I mean, overall, it's a loss in showing himself up in this way. Stefan has, I think, decreased the value of what he says because this is so ingenuous, and he has discounted whatever he said in the past, I think, and anybody who is watching this and listening to this, I think would arrive at the same conclusion. And it is sad because it is a loss, and I wish it was different.